Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Literature Lovers. In this video I am going to discuss which books are best for UGC NET GRF exam in English literature. You know, every NET aspirant has a dream to crack this exam and to become an assistant professor one day, but there are various books in the market available, and you are always be puzzled to choose which is best, which is not, what will be the strategy, the routine, how to divide the full syllabus. That is too much vast, you know. So in this channel I will post one by one videos on various topics. In today's video I mentioned some important books which should be purchased, should be read very well for the exam. Let's see friends. You know, there are 10 units in the syllabus, and obviously the most important part is the British literature. In every exam, you'll find 50 questions at least from this part. So you should cover it very well. I mentioned 4 books here. First, you see the William J. Long English Literature. Actually, the book is very much important for every NET aspirants because it aims to create in every student the desire to read the best books in literature and to know literature itself rather than what has been written about literature. The book reflects not only author's life, not only author's thinking, not only biography, but also it reflects the spirit of the age in which the author lived. I suggest you, it is too good. You should read it, you should buy it, and cover the every page is of this book very well. Next, I mention the Rutledge History of Literature in English by Ronald Carter. Actually, the book covers the main developments in the history of Britain and Irish. The book also emphasizes the growth of literary writings, its traditions, conventions, changing characteristics, and includes everything in this book. You should read it. Next, I mention Albert's History of English Literature. Albert's History of English Literature is also too good. The book takes a look at how English literature has developed across each period. The content of this book is too much important because the whole period is divided very well in this book. And the book also talks about the major literary genre of each age, like poetry, prose, drama, their major proponents, and it also offers an extensive list of the notable works published during that period. It is very good book. Every NET aspirant should read it. Then I mention a less important book, that is David Dages. It has 2 volumes. Volume 1 Beginning to Milton and Volume 2 Restoration to Present Day. The book gives the reader a fascinating insight into over 12 centuries of great writing, but the book is too much vast. If you have time, you can buy it, you can read it, but my suggestion is you should read William J. Long, The Rutledge and Albert. See, I give 5 star to William J. Long, Carter and Albert, but I give 4 star to David Ages. You know the reason? The book is too fast, and that's why I suggest you to read the first 3 books very well to cover the British literature. Next we see now I am going to discuss the second important part of our syllabus, that is theory, terms and criticism. You know, it is quite difficult, it is quite tough to every NET aspirants, but if you choose the right books, you can easily gain the basic knowledge of all theories, and can solve the questions in the exam. I mentioned six books here one by one. I will give the description of these books. First, you see, I mentioned Peter Berry, Beginnings Theory. Actually, the book is placed first because of its easy language, because of its detailed descriptions, and too much student friendly. If you gain the basic knowledge of every theories, then you should read it. Very much important for every net aspirants. I can say that it can be an ideal gift to yourself. Next, I mentioned, you see, Pramod K. Nair's Contemporary Literary and Cultural Theory. Actually, the book is quite good, and I can say, actually, the book gives the ideas about literary and cultural phenomena since the mid 20th century. And the most important part of this book is that each chapter in this book traces the origin and development of a specific critical approach up to the recent times, and with a special focus on key thinkers. This is the specialty of this book. You can buy it. Next, I mention, you see, one of the most important books and my personal favorite, that is Cardan and Habib's Literary Terms and Literary Theory. The book gives definitions of every technical terms, critical jargons, literary movements, genres, and literary forms. Everything are included in this book. You must read it. My personal opinion is that you should buy and must read it. It is too much good. Then I mention another important book, that is Habib's Literary Criticism and Introduction. Actually, in the area of criticism, the book is too much good. It provides a concise and authoritative overview of the development of Western literary criticism and theory from the classical period to the present day. We can read it. Next, I mention M.S. Nagarjune's English Literary Criticism and Theory. It is less important book. You can find here descriptions of every theories, but the problem is that it is not too much informative. And if you read Peter Berry, Cardan, Habib, it's enough. Then I mention another book, that is M.H. Abrams, A Glossary of Literary Terms. My personal opinion is that I don't like this book because if you read it first, you will be puzzled. Its language is not so much easy, and its description, everything, that I don't like it. But if you want, you can buy it, you can read it. My suggestion is you should read Peter Berry, Cardan Habib, and Habib's criticism. First you go Peter Berry, then Cardan, then Habib. Now see, I am going to discuss another important unit of our syllabus, that is Indian literature. Indian literature, you can find now questions are coming in the exam. That's why you should cover the unit very well. At first I mentioned also Kumar Jain's book, a simple book on Indian English literature. Actually, the book has many writers included in it, from diasporic, Dalit, and the postmodern writers. And its easy language, it's quite interesting, and the book is simply a good. You can buy it, you must buy it and read it. Then I mentioned Aravind Krishna's A Concise History of Indian Literature in English. It is also a very good book. You can find here the detailed descriptions of every writer and their works. You can buy it. Next, I mention M.K. Naik's book. M.K. Naik's book, A History of Indian English Literature, it is also good. You can find here also the detailed descriptions of the writers. But my suggestion is also Kumar Jain's book. You should read it. You purchased it from Amazon and read it very well. Then your Indian literature will be covered. I hope. Now I am going to discuss another interesting unit, that is miscellaneous. In this unit, I include various topics like rhetoric, prosody, world literature, and another world literature book. And then I included a practice set and cultural studies. At first, rhetoric prosody, there are two, three questions in the exam where you can find rhetoric prosody questions. And if you practice it very well, read the book very well, then you can easily solve these two, three questions. Then I mention world literature in your fist. The book is too much important for every net aspirant because every topics of syllabus is described very well in this book. You should read it. Then I also mention another book that also Vivekanand Jha's An Objective and Analytical Approach to English Literature. The book I mention here also covers every topics, every units. This is too good. Then I mention a practice set, R. Gupta's. See, you should buy this book because in this book you will get previous year's papers with solution. But I can say if you have any PDF, if you have any other apps where you can find the previous year's question, then it's okay. Otherwise, you can buy it. Next, I mentioned cultural studies. It is also a very good book and important also. Pramod Kinayar's cultural studies. You know, in every exam, 5 or 6 questions are coming, and that's why you should cover the book very well. See, if you want GRF, then every 10 units you have to cover very well. That's why I mentioned these books: rhetoric, prosody, world literature, practice set, and cultural studies. These are too much informative and good books, and you should cover every unit for the exam. Now I'm going to discuss the American literature. You see, American literature is an important unit in our syllabus, and I mentioned just one book here, that is American Literature by Krishna Sen. Krishna Sen describes here every American movements and the writers and their details. Everything is included here. But my suggestion is the online sources for this unit. You just buy this book and read it very well for the basic knowledge of American literature. See, I've mentioned uh, so many important books for important units, but the most important, I can say, online sources. You can't get all the informations about any writer, about any works in the books, but if you go to search in online sources, there will find every information about any writer. My suggestion is Wikipedia, Britannica, Literatures, GreatSave, and Sparkles. I personally use them very well to create my note and to know every information about any writer, any works. Online sources will go hand in hand with the books. You must use it because it is too much beneficial. See, this slide is quite interesting because I quote William Shakespeare here, one of the famous lines. It is not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves. If you read the line, you will understand the meaning of this line. This slide is quite interesting because I have already mentioned the books which you should purchase and read, but the strategy that is very important to crack this exam. I mentioned five key terms: dedication, sacrifice, determination, revision, and practice. I'll make a video on this, how to clear the exam, the best strategy. But here I briefly discuss this. So dedication, you should dedicate yourself in your study. Sacrifice, you should sacrifice many things to become successful. Determination, you should determine yourself. Revision is the key word. I mean, syllabus is too much vast, and there are 10 units. So if you want to remember all units properly, then you have to revise. You have to revise all things regularly, then you can remember this. And practice is very important also. Suppose you are solving a mock test or a question paper, and if you forget many things, then come again and revise, and again you go to practice this. That's the way you can clear the exam. I'll make a video on it. See, friends, I have mentioned here four keywords. You know the meaning of every keywords here. I hope my video is enough informative and proper guidance you will get from the next videos also. So you press the like button, share and comment. And if you want the guidance from me, you can subscribe my channel. Your support is always my strength. Thank you, friends. See you in the next video.